I'm delighted to accept this invitation of Professor Renzo Saavedra Velasco to say a few words about law and economics to the Peruvian Legal Academia, a great institution and a great professor. When Professor Coase and I began law and economics, now almost 60 years ago, we thought of law and of economics as being co-equal in it, so that economics would look at law and help us to understand and reform some things in law. But when economic theory did not explain what the law was, what was being done in law, we first looked to see whether the law was really as we saw it, the world was really as we saw it, and whether it fit right. But if it still didn't fit, we then asked, is it the law that is wrong that needs to be reformed, or is the economic theory not sufficiently sophisticated to answer the legal questions? That bilateral relationships in which law helps economics develop and economics helps law develop is where I think the future of law and economics still lies. What happened in the interim, in the many years from the beginning to now, is that many very great scholars tended to view economics as if it had all the answers. But there is no discipline that has all the answers. Each discipline needs the other. Law and what people in the world are doing can help us understand economic theory better. Economics can help us see whether legal rules that we have today are good ones or are ones that are surpassed and should be changed and reformed. If you look at it both ways, you both help law to develop, but you also help economic theory. Let me give one quick example. Economists and economic theory tends to look at altruism, beneficence, as if it were only a means, a way of getting from here to here. Is it the best way of giving health care? Is it the best way of giving education? And often they find that it isn't a particularly effective, efficient way of doing it. But then you ask yourself, why in the law do we have so much beneficence, so many not-for-profits, so many things where it isn't self-interest that are driving? The answer is perfectly easy, because we like it, because we want people to be nice to each other, and we don't want everything to be pushed by self-interest. Once you look at it that way, it is as silly to ask whether self-interest or beneficence is the most effective way of delivering health care as it is to ask whether caviar is as good a way of feeding as potatoes. We eat caviar because we like it. We drink a good wine rather than a bad one, even if a bad one is cheaper, because we're not only interested in quenching our thirst, we're interested in having the wine. And so we are interested in having beneficence, not-for-profits, charitable uses, as well as having health care and other things. When we do that, we realize that most goods are both means and ends. And if economic theory starts thinking of goods as being both good means and ends, all sorts of interesting things follow. What substitutes for another becomes much more complicated, because you have to substitute both what is the means and what is the end. In this way, economic theory has helped us to see that there are sometimes more effective means of getting from here to there, but also to understand that we may want to do something which may cost more simply because we like it. That's just one of many ways that if we look at economics and law as co-equal, as each feeding the other, we can make real progress in both. I think that there lies the future of law and economics, and that's what I try to say at much more length, and I think probably a little bit more clearly, in a book I've just written called The Future of Law and Economics. Thank you.